Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, once again, boys and girls as well, back to the Sports Buffoons podcast here, as well as on YouTube. Give us a follow at Sports Buffoons on all the major podcast platforms. Guys, we're here at Mr. Brews Tap House in Overland Park, once again for the third time now in 3 months. Guys, this is now going to be the home base of the Sports Buffoons traveling channel at this point. So, guys, I'm glad to be here once again. Home of this month's Burger of the Month, the Hangover Burger, which happens to be, JG, your favorite movie. Is that right?
Something like that. But anytime I come into this place, they have great beer, great appetizers, great burgers. You guys can never go wrong when you come out to Mr. Brews. I just want to throw that out there.
That's true. And they have turkey burgers, which is my favorite. So, yeah. By the way, Tanner Dawson, JG here. How you guys doing this week?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
I mean, no Super Bowl hangovers. I mean, I know that was old news at this point, but I'm feeling better now with football being in the past. Are we ready to move on to new sports that are going to propel us throughout the rest of the spring and summer?
Yeah, I don't have a hangover. I'm going to leave that up to the Bengals for next year. I want to see that Super Bowl hangover.
That's going to be a nasty hangover.
It's going to be nasty.
I like that a lot. It's going to be like orange, like, you know, if you have too many orange bombs, it's a big barf in the toilet.
No. It's more like apple cider, because Eli Apple's not going to have a job next year.
Ooh, at all? Yes. You know, I heard the USFL is a league now, so maybe you could go there and do some tryouts with them, or maybe your XFL, give them a chance. But I don't know if the NFL wants to be a part of him at this point. So, yeah, that remains to be seen. By the way, guys, we are sipping on some drinks right now from Mr. Brews Tap House, home of 34 beers on tap. I am drinking the Deadhead IPA from Distill. And Tanner, you don't know it yet, but you will be too.
Oh, is that what I got?
Yep. And
I was wondering.
It's delicious. JG, what are you sipping on?
Tank 7, bro. Right before that, we had the Dragon's Milk. You know how we do it.
I like that, see?
The Augusta side's really good.
Yep. All the good stuff right over here. It's a wonderful place. I put it up there with Barley's if you guys are interested in stopping by, hanging out for a bit, and checking out the boy Tomas, our favorite sports guy to talk with, and he'll give you some betting opinions. Maybe not always correct, but, you know, we love his opinions regardless. So.
Good guy to talk sports with.
That's all that said. We love you, Tomas, regardless. Guys, we have a lot to talk about basketball today. So we're talking about NCAA, NBA towards the end of the show here. And I just want to start off with, you know, you said this the other day, Jason. You want to see more fighting in sports. And you mentioned this in baseball as maybe bringing some more relevancy to the sport. Well, it's happening in basketball right now with Juwan Howard, the head coach of Michigan Wolverines, coming out and giving a little farmhand, as I like to call it, to the face.
Real quick, did you say Mission Wolverines?
The Mission Wolverines. You know, like down the
Not
street.
the Michigan, the Mission.
The Mission was. Maybe I blame the IPAs on that one. So, guys, I mean, this guy got suspended 5 games, right?
Yes, 5 games for the rest of the season for the Wolverines.
Okay.
But he's eligible to come back for the tournament.
Okay, but now, do you think 5 games is fair? Is this too harsh? Like, what do you guys think about this?
Well, yeah, Jason.
I'm just happy that Juwan Howard watches this show. He was listening to yours truly, JG, last week, which when I told you guys last week, I was like, baseball, among other sports, they need more violence. And I think Juwan Howard probably listened to me on that show, and then he wanted to do the farmhand.
Yeah.
Against the Wisconsin coach the other day. I don't think the NCAA got this right. However, you have to understand that the NCAA is under a lot of pressure because everybody knows that the NCAA, they take a lot of heat. They've made some bad decisions over the years. And so I feel like they were trying to meet us in the middle here, trying to make the right decision with that 5-game suspension. I've got a big problem with it, though, because I don't really think Juwan Howard, based on my overview last week when we were talking about fighting in sports, I don't think he did anything wrong. And I know that's going to sound kind of crazy to all of you out there, but I think the NCAA was a little bit overbearing here. I think Juwan Howard should have got a 2-game suspension. especially you look at the other coach, Wisconsin, he didn't get any games. You got to look at the fact that Juwan Howard was very likely provoked in this instance. And I feel like we see this in sports a lot when whoever is doing the provoking doesn't get penalized at all, but the person who was provoked, they throw the farm at him. And so I think
just not to cut you off here, I think the difference here maybe is that there was some provoking done in the beginning by the other coach, but what happened was Juwan Howard escalated it by reacting poorly and physically towards other coaches, because the coach who initiated the entire situation in the first place ended up not being the one getting hit. And I think that's something we should be thinking about, because Howard ended up hitting a random guy, I don't know who even it was actually, that jumped in. Another coach that jumped in, but it was not the coach that provoked the fight that ended up getting hit at all or doing any hitting of his own.
I just think that there are two sides to the story, and there's a side that we're never going to hear. And I feel like Juwan Howard, if he got 2 game suspension and the other coach doesn't get anything, I would be perfectly fine with that. And I think that something should be said as far as all these people in the media that say Juwan Howard should be fired. Juwan Howard shouldn't coach a game for the rest of the season, including March Madness. So there are those people out there that are saying he should never coach again, or he should never coach for the rest of this year. So that's the one extreme, and so that's the position I'm taking. I'm going to the opposite extreme, which is like the NCAA is overbearing. Give him a slap on the wrist, right? He's a part of the Fab Five, right? So he's never going to lose his job. No. Juwan Howard is a legend. He's an NCAA legend. And so for me, I think you give him a slap on the wrist, you give him a 2 game suspension, and I think the NCAA overdid it here.
But it could have been worse, as you stated earlier, off the air, by the way. ESPN was talking about maybe he should have been suspended for the rest of the entire playoffs of the NCAA bracket going forward.
Exactly.
That would have been way too extreme in my mind. I think 5 games to me is fair. It lays the law down to a degree of what happened, but it's not to where it's going overboard and where you're banned from the league.
Exactly, and there are so many people that wanted him to be fired, and I don't understand why people want to go overboard. And so that's why the NCAA did what they did. They're trying to meet in the middle, and I think 5 games was overbearing for me personally, but based upon the pressure that the NCAA always gets, I think they did what they had to do.
Now, just set this up for you guys too, right? So the incident actually started 15 seconds before the game ended. Wisconsin was up big. They called a timeout. Wisconsin did to supposedly cross it over the court instead of just running the timeout. For God's sakes, right? So Howard was already ticked by then. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then so we saw the assistant coach stop Howard as Howard was already yelling at the head coach, like, "You shouldn't be doing this. Mask on so you can't see any words." But he was talking to him. Assistant coach stops him for Wisconsin. Howard says, "Don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me." The guy continues to put his hands on him.
Exactly.
Stuff starts to escalate.
Exactly.
The whole reason, and so Braylon Edwards on the Woodyard podcast had a great point in this that I saw. His point was, if you look close enough, you see the coach that got hit actually put his hands on a player, and that's where Juwan just lost it. He was like, "This is not going to happen." So he was reacting not just off, like he was already ticked off, but you touch a player, it's game over, right? Mm-hmm. So he was already acting on that.
That's my whole thing is like, I think everybody should watch the video and make your own decision. Don't just listen to what ESPN tells you, which is that Juwan Howard should be fired from Michigan. That's a freaking joke.
No, there's more of a breakdown on other podcasts.
We've seen coaches do this in the past before. I remember, I think the Chiefs receivers coach, actually, I think it might have been Greg Lewis here recently, actually had gotten into kind of an altercation on the sideline with whenever basically another player came to the Chiefs bench. Greg Lewis ended up giving the guy, I can't remember if it was like a kick or some kind of shove of some kind. Remember?
It was the Browns game. It was the Browns game.
And he gave him kind of a shove to get him off
the player. Yes. And so, but the player also shoved him.
Right.
So it was kind of a back and forth.
Greg Lewis ended up getting fined because of this.
The player got the flag.
So it was Greg Lewis sticking up for his player because the other player wouldn't get off of his.
But that's the whole thing. It's like, it's just the coach standing up for his players. in an already heated moment. So there's more to it. NCAA got, I would say, Howard's suspension right, just for the fact that he is over a set of college kids. He is setting an example, essentially, for the future. But they got it wrong on the Wisconsin side. There should have been more than fines. There should have been suspensions on multiple counts. These two assistant coaches.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just think that the gap is too wide.
It is.
You've got 5 versus 0. I think it should have been 3 games versus 1 game.
Yeah. And the only reason they did that is because of the physicality of it. It's because one coach reacted physically,
and the other one did.
in a reactionary way, where the other coach was more verbal with a slight tug, like I want to do to Tanner every once in a while. We can get the audio right.
This is the whole, I'm going to fine you, I'm going to suspend you because you threw the punch under the rug, we move on.
And you know what, Mike? It would be so much better if we could just duke it out in the boxing ring, and that way, whichever coach loses the boxing match gets a higher suspension, which is what we were talking about that last week in terms of baseball.
That's a really good point, because I think you're wanting to see baseball do something with, allowing more people, more players to duke it out when they need to, bring some relevancy back to the sport. And baseball still has some negotiating to do. They're still a week away from being pushed back. We're going to be seeing the USFL potentially play before MLB does this season.
So there's breaking news that happened right before our show. MLB supposedly needs a deal by Monday, or it's a shortened season. Players don't get paid, coaches get hurt, and also the owners get hurt. So if there's no deal made by Monday, we got a shortened season already. So that's going to cost a lot of people some money, and especially some fans going in that sport.
And by the way, guys, we do have an insider very close to the sports.
He ain't giving me nothing. He doesn't know anything.
Oh, no, he is giving something. He doesn't think it's going to happen on time. He thinks we're going to be starting late.
I don't know. I don't need to say that.
The last I spoke to the insider, he said it was going to happen on time. But you know what? Let's not worry about that right now.
He's not allowed to talk. He's not allowed to talk.
We want all the new coaches in the league to make money. And that's what we want. Everyone has jobs. Everyone has money.
Everyone fighting.
Everyone has their careers and more fighting. Yes,
more brawls.
Speaking of that, you guys, I was just thinking about that earlier because of this coaching brawl we kind of saw here for the first time in a while, I feel like. I was thinking to myself, what would be my favorite pro sports coaching brawl that I'd want to see happen in the past or present that's currently in the game? I want to think about, would you want to see Rex Ryan go duke it out, over against Bill Belichick? Would you want to see something like John Gruden go duke it out against, somebody else? What is the number one pro sports boxing fight you'd like to see go on between two coaches?
I got to keep it simple here because we are talking a lot of basketball on this show, NBA, NCAA, and I got to go back to 1994 when John Calipari at the time was the coach of UMass, and it was in a press conference, I believe, when John Chaney, who was the coach of Temple, almost got into a scuffle right there in the press conference with John Calipari. And John Chaney literally said, quote unquote, "I'll kill you." I will kill you. And so that for me would be my first choice. If I could get those two guys, obviously it's got to be back in 1994 because John Calipari was a lot younger.
A lot. Well, so was the other guy.
John Chaney was still a little bit older, but I would love to see those two guys in a boxing match just duke it out because I feel like they had some business that they needed to get settled, and so that would be my first choice. Would be John Calipari versus John Chaney.
Very nice. Yeah, we're not going to name our insider, AC. We are not allowed to do that at this time. So, besides that, thanks for the comment. We appreciate that very, very much. He is one of our. He is actually, honestly, the biggest Buffoon supporter out there. So, we have a lot of new followers that have joined along here lately, new subscribers. We appreciate you guys very, very much. So we like that so much. We're going to continue to be here all season of whether it's basketball, baseball, of course, football, and of course, Chiefs are not going to be going anywhere anytime soon from this podcast. It'll still be relevant.
By the way, just to throw it out there, I think my insider is full of shit. I do think they will start on time.
My insider said they're going to start.
Is going to
so
start
do we have different insiders now? Am I confused? Okay, I don't know.
I think you might be. Anyways. Are you going to go yours? I was
going to spit it out, you guys, because mine is simple. Everyone wanted to see this happen when it happened in real time, just about. back when Todd Haley and Josh McDaniels met at midfield after a Broncos-Chiefs game in which the Chiefs kicked their damn ass. That's what I'm saying. This was back in 2010, I believe. Todd Haley goes out, gets a victory against Denver, I believe, in Mile High, I think. Todd Haley walks up to Josh McDaniels, points his finger at him, gives him the finger wag going, I've heard a lot of shit talked about you. And that's when there became an altercation at midfield between the two. And at that point, there was a beef. From then on out, between Todd Haley and Josh McDaniels. Now, you get a couple idiots here. Todd Haley, I don't even know what the hell he's doing anymore. Josh McDaniels did at least get a new head coaching job.
Oh, yeah.
Haley just kept getting drunk every day. So, guys, I would have loved to have seen these two guys back in their prime, back when, Josh was in his 30s, Todd was in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, just duking it out right there at the field. And I would have loved to have seen aggressive Todd Haley beat the hell out of a 33-year-old Josh McDaniels.
So I'm going to kind of go back into not pro sports era, but college. One of the best conference games to happen year in, year out. Unfortunately, one guy retired last year. Roy Williamson, Coach K.
Oh, I love it. I love
UNC.
it. Yeah.
I would love to see those guys in their prime just get with all the hype, no matter which arena you're in. It doesn't matter because it's so loud and so chaotic that I would love to see those guys just go at it one time.
Now, quick question though. They were both so old. Like, would you want to see them duke it out in their 70s, or do you want to see them go back to like when they were in their 30s and 40s?
Give me in their 50s.
In their 50s.
Give me in their 50s.
Oh, I got to go with Coach K on that one.
Yeah.
I think Coach K would have destroyed
Coach K's
it.
struggling now. Roy obviously was struggling. He retired. But, yeah, that would be, I think, one of the coolest scenes to see, just for the fact that that's already a chaotic environment. Mm-hmm. That then you have your two legendary head coaches just duke it out one time.
We're seeing boxing really become crazy now anyways, because we've seen Frank Gore and Chad Johnson both get involved in pro boxing matches now, and where it's really televised on TV. Who would ever thought some of these NFL stars, former stars,
Logan Paul?
Yeah, Logan Paul. Well, what about him? He's a YouTuber.
YouTuber, whatever you want to call him.
I'm saying, but you're seeing a wide variety of weird things.
It's not just...
Why not bring a couple coaches that can't stand each other, put them together in a ring? And you remember the old TV shows, like it's like clay figures? There was like the
Celebrity Death
Match. Oh, what a show
match
that was.
On MTV.
They would put together like Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville and clay figures and just duke it out and do this kind of crazy stuff. Now imagine that. Like,
Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the best.
Hit her baby one more time, yes. So, guys, I'm just saying, like, I think there's an opportunity this could actually happen at some point in real life with two feuding coaches.
Honestly, I just go back to my childhood. I've got to go with He-Man versus Skeletor. There's nothing better than that, dude. Yeah. I want to see that in real life.
Love that stuff.
That's great.
That's an old TV show I forgot about, Tanner. I thought about that as we were talking.
Celebrity Deathmatch.
Celebrity Deathmatch. One of the goats. So speaking of that, Tanner, you have your own little death bracket you want to put together, right?
Bubba's Bracketology.
Yeah,
it's a new segment, guys.
I want to hear about this. Bubba! Guys, I've never heard of this whole thing. Tanner's excited to spit this out, and I want to know what you have to offer right now. Tell me all about this Bracketology. What do you got?
So here's what's going to happen, guys. Here in the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to break down my top 1 through 3 seeds, a.k.a. 4 teams per seed, right? As the bracket shows. I'm going to give you a Cinderella watch, some teams to watch for as we get closer to the tournament, and just kind of see what's going on. Now, there's some games going on right now. Right above us here is Kentucky LSU that has some big implications right now, and LSU's up by 10 on them. I believe, Mike, you have your phone on you still, right?
I have my phone on
Could you give me a Duke update score, please?
You need a Duke update score.
I need a Duke update score as we go.
You mean you expect me, the NCAA buffoon, to have Duke update scores?
I've got an update for you right now. They suck.
Yeah.
Duke sucks.
Mm-hmm. So, in the meantime, guys, I'm going to give you actually some fun facts just to open up this little segment here. So, did you guys know that San Francisco was the first team to go undefeated in a season?
Was that with the one and only Bill Russell?
Led by Bill Russell himself. And the fun part about this is Bill Russell, in his career with San Francisco, on a 46-game winning streak. in a back-to-back championship.
And we have Duke getting the victory, 65-61.
They did pull it out. It was close. I knew it.
We're going to talk a little bit about Bill Russell later.
Yeah. John Wooden had 4 UCLA squads in his 12 years go undefeated with championships, which is insane. That's why there's John Wooden Awards out there. Only once has all 4 seeds made it to the Final Four in all these years.
Only one time.
Oh, wait. It was Kansas, Memphis, North Carolina, UCLA.
And one of them was not a legitimate 1 seed because they cheated.
And who took it? Who took it?
Yeah, you want to just... This is your bragging moment right now, Tanner?
KU.
KU took it, but...
I swear to God, he made this
They beat
entire
Derrick
segment
Rose,
just to do
Memphis team, who cheated anyway.
And
so
you
it
know
don't
what?
matter.
You know why that's a good thing? Because if they would have lost that game, the whole season would have been vacated because Derrick Rose cheated.
KU would have won anyways. And that also was the shot by Mario Chalmers, as you see everywhere in Lawrence as you walk around. So just some fun facts right now. I'll have more fun facts in a later date. So let's break it down, guys, real quick here. Obviously, Mike just gave me that update, so let me update my little bracket here. That's good. Okay. And, I need a Providence Xavier update, too, please, while we're at it.
So I saw that, Tanner. I was just like, I'm the buffoon statistician for. We have we're in overtime right now. Xavier and Providence 71-70. Xavier has the current lead.
So we're using my phone as a camera and system, so that's why I don't have a phone. So real quick here, guys, let's break down the 1 seeds. Here's my 1 seeds here. I'll go about it. I got Gonzaga as the number 1 overall. I think they finished that way. If you kind of look at their schedule, all they got is San Fran and St. Mary's left. St. Mary's is your most complicated squad to possibly play. San Francisco's not bad either. They have a chance to make the tournament, but they probably won't. So I see them doing it. I love their key victories of Texas, Texas Tech, UCLA, and St. Mary's, possibly twice here. Their mentions, they did play Duke, and they only lost by 3. They really competed there. And they had no, tough losses, hard losses against bad teams. So they performed exactly as planned, essentially. My next one, guys, is going to be Arizona. They're currently ranked 2 right now. They got Utah, Colorado, USC, who's number 17, or I believe 16 actually right now, ranked, Stanford, and Cali. So this is a lot of games to go, but I think they're playing in such a weak conference that I'm not really worried about it. Key victories there. Michigan, Illinois, UCLA, USC. They did beat USC the first time around. And Oregon, they actually just had a good game against them the other day. Key mentions there. So Tennessee, they did lose to Tennessee, who was ranked at 17. And then UCLA blew them out as well at one time. No big losses. Loved it. My third number 1 seed here is Auburn. I think they continue to sweep it out. Their hardest game right now is Tennessee, coming up after Ole Miss this week. That's going to be a really tough game there. I'm kind of worried about it, just because Tennessee did just take down Kentucky as well that's playing right now. Outside of that, guys, they didn't really have any their bad losses, I guess, is fluke Arkansas beginning of the season in Florida just the other day. I don't think it's enough to unseat them from a 1 seed. And finally, I have Purdue, guys, making it as the final 1 seed this year. It's my prediction here. They have Michigan State, Wisconsin, both ranked teams in there. Indiana, who just played a hell of a game against, I believe it was Wisconsin the other day. They got key victories against Villanova, ranked, Illinois, Ohio State. But their bad losses is Rutgers and Michigan. So I'd say one of those is really a bad loss. I think they do enough to make it into the 1 seed.
Did you have KU as a 1 seed or no?
No, I did not have KU as a 1 seed.
You did not?
No.
KU's probably going to be a 2 seed.
I don't think they make the 1. So we're going to hop into 2 seeds real quick here. So 2s, guys. I got KU to start her out. They just beat K-State last night dominantly, finally. We got Baylor, TCU, Texas. I think we lose one of those TCU games that cost us the number 1 seed and back us down. I think Baylor game we win. I think the Texas game we come back and win, unlike last time. I don't think we get swept by Texas. We've already been swept by Texas Tech.
Bang, bang.
Part. Yeah, pretty much. So your key mentions, though, Texas Tech and Kentucky both did blow us out of these matchups, which is really bad. Our worst loss was a Dayton one early in the season. Again, not a concern. I think they finish out with the 2 seed regardless of what happens in the conference. So the next one here for the 2 seed here is Kentucky. I think Kentucky here is also a 2 seed. Maybe even despite if they lose to LSU here, who they did lose before already. They had a great win against Kentucky or KU, Alabama. They split Tennessee. They got Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Florida. I don't see them having any more issues the rest of the season after this LSU game. Their worst loss was at Notre Dame. And I mean, if that's it, I think they solidified their 2 seed pretty well straight. Baylor and Texas Tech are my final 2 seeds, guys. A couple Big 12 guys. They just had both wins against both Oklahoma teams. Baylor's got KU, Texas, and Iowa State. A really hard schedule. This is the reason why they get the 2 seed. Is because they got to win 2 of the next 3 games to get in the 2 seed. Otherwise, they're a 3. Texas Tech, on the other hand, guys, has TCU, K-State, and OK State. Should be a cakewalk for them because the way they play is beyond reasonable. So those are my 2 seeds on that one.
All right, Tanner, I do have a question for you, by the way. So as far as the Big 12 goes, KU currently has an 82.4% chance to win the conference, versus Texas Tech's 11.8% chance to win the conference.
Correct.
I mean, do you think this is going to play out in KU's favor? Or because you just mentioned here a second ago, Texas Tech swept them already at one point. Texas Tech could steal this thing from them easily.
Oh, yeah. No, we got Baylor, who's ranked, TCU, who plays really well lately, and Texas. Those are, the next 4 matchups are pretty difficult, especially back-to-back games against TCU. Texas Tech has a cakewalk. Texas Tech could walk away with this in the end.
No, I think so too.
They really could.
That's why I'm asking. The percentages don't say that. The percentages say that KU's going to win this damn thing. I don't really see that happening.
In theory, KU should take care of business. They already beat Baylor by a ton. They lost to Texas by, overtime and by like 3 points right after the Chiefs-Buffalo game on that side. So
this KU team reminds me of every other KU team we've seen in the past goddamn 15 years. And it's just the same old thing where it's like, oh, we're going to be towards the top but not at the top. We're going to be relevant but not relevant enough. And then we're going to get to the damn thing, do the damn tournament, finish on the Elite Eight, and be pooped out. And that's going to be it. It's the same thing every year with KU.
Here's the thing, though. The next 4 teams we play, or next 3 out of 3 teams, because we play TCU twice back-to-back, we outsize them and we outshoot them. I'm not worried about KU finishing in second. I'm really not. I think they're going to be the first 2 seed in the tournament based off that. And they can take the 1 seed. If Purdue sits here and Wisconsin takes them down, then, you got KU in the 1. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's all about who gets hot at the right time. It's just like any other sport that we always talk about on the show. I actually do.
But this is like in a small window, too, because March Madness is obviously more clustered.
Correct.
But I do have KU as a number 1 seed, and I do have Kentucky in the exact same bracket in the Midwest. It's the same thing. I think that's.
I don't want that.
That's what Joe Lenardi has right now.
He does. And
I agree with him, and I do look forward to that KU Kentucky matchup, and I would love to see it. I mean, and then you got Michigan State possibly in that same bracket. So I think it could potentially be the toughest bracket in all of basketball, and that's how we want it. Because if KU gets hot at the right time, we want to be in the hard bracket.
Do you see who's also in there? USC's in there too, and that's who we got lost to last year. Well, we have a different kind of team, though.
But that's a payback. That's a payback.
If you can get into live sports bet right now, I say put your money on Kentucky to come back and at least cover whatever they're at right now. Current score is 27-19 as we're talking live. I say if you're doing live sports betting right now, get on Bovada, jump in there. That's a good time to bet that cover.
I'd rather be in that than in live effer.
Live effer?
Yeah, I'd rather. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good site. What's that?
I'd rather be in the other one that you just talked about.
All right, guys, let's continue here. 3 seeds here, guys. 3 seeds. I got Duke, Villanova, UCLA, and Houston. 2 teams that aren't really considered a 3 seed at the moment. I think they sneak in and do that. I think Villanova, yes, they just had a loss to UConn last night. A little rough, but they got Providence, who's struggling against Xavier. They got Butler to finish off the season. I think they have enough to do that. Duke obviously just beat Virginia. That was my worry. I'm not worried about the rest of their schedule. I still think they finished 3 seed on that one. UCLA, guys, has Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, and USC in the final. I think they cruise there, continue to get that 3 seed. And Houston finally has Tulane, SMU, Cincy, Temple, and Memphis. The only one that's really going to give you trouble right now is Memphis on that one. And so kind of the weird thing is Providence was ranked 7 last week. They're now...
Right now we're in overtime, score 75-75.
Still struggling here at Xavier.
As we're speaking live.
Providence at worst is going to be a 4 seed. I think, or at best a 4 seed. Just for the fact that Villanova has beat them twice already. UConn, Seton Hall, Xavier, Marquette are key wins, and Texas Tech. But it's not enough to get that 4 seed, or 3 seed. So those are my breakdowns for the first 3 seeds. And finally, guys, the part that we all love watching in NCAA bracket ball, right? Cinderellas. Who are my Cinderellas? Bryant Bulldogs, guys. They're 17-9, 14-2 in the conference. Second place to Wagner. Peter Kiss is averaging 24.8 points per game for these guys. He scored 29 or more points in the last 6 games. This guy is on fire for them. He's going to carry them to the first place over Wagner in the conference championship and become a Cinderella there. South Dakota State, killing it. 16-0 in the conference, 25-4. Right now, they are leading the NCAA in 3-point percentage, which is key here. 45.19, second best to only Purdue in 3-point percentage. I think they played Alabama, they competed, but I think South Dakota State could be a fun team to watch. Jacksonville State is one I have on there, 18-9, 11-3 in the West. Liberty is also in the East. They're in first. They're tied. They took it to Wichita State, Alabama, couldn't quite do it. Third best in 3-point percentage as well. And they can play ball. They can play ball, though. So I'm excited for them. Murray State, guys, currently ranked, I believe, 23rd, 26-2, 16-0 in the conference currently. Only 2 losses in ETSU and Auburn. Rebound margin is about 7, and they have a 47.95% field goal percentage. Led by KJ Williams, who's just killing it in points, rebounds, steals, blocks.
He is killing it. I will give you that.
You like KJ? Well, you know KJ?
He's killing it, dude.
So those are my Cinderella teams, guys.
And my favorite one is probably Jacksonville State. I think it's great.
Funny thing, while I'm making this, right, I had different teams in there. I had Jacksonville State in, though. And I took Jacksonville State out to look at other teams. I put them back in because they just led the league there.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like they would fit in, and it sounds like a good thing, and like I like what they have to do. But they might go to 2 overtimes, by the way, in your game, Tanner, the Xavier and Clemens one.
My prediction for a too early winner right now for the whole tournament, guys, is going to be the Auburn Tigers. I think they win in the end.
All right, War Eagle. There you go.
That's my Bubba's Bracketology.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you went over all that, Tanner. I'm glad we got that figured out. And, you know, honestly, the truth is, I think everything you just said right there is probably more informational than any bullshit ESPN can give you. So, you know, that's what we're here for. The Buffoons are here to give you knowledge as well as buffoonery. So that is why we're around, you guys. So I do have to mention over here, as we switch over to some NBA talk here for a moment. Zion Williamson, by the way, seems to be wanting out of New Orleans. And this guy, I don't really know why he's wanting out necessarily right now, because he's only 2 years in to his career in the NBA.
Yep.
Thing is, he's playing a little bit out of position. He's a little overweight. You know, trying to go out and shoot threes. When really he's playing more down low, I would say. The thing is, we're talking earlier today, and we're now seeing the Pelicans now put out some advertisements for their future season ticket holders for next year's games and emails. And he is no longer on the picture of the team for the season ticket holders' emails. And so they removed him from that. So the writing's on the wall in some ways. But why would you give up on a guy like Zion Williamson so quickly when I feel like if weight is the issue and performance is really not that bad considering the weight, if you get the weight figured out, performance will increase. So what I'm saying is give this guy a damn professional chef, get his protein and everything like zeroed in, just work with him, get the calories in order, get him to cut down a little bit. This guy can be sustainable if they give him time to work with him. I just say don't give up on this guy. Yeah, he's 21 years old. I think there's a lot of rumors going around right now. This whole relationship between him and the Pelicans is over with. So Guys, what do you think about this Zion Williamson situation?
I don't really think that they are giving up on Zion at this point. I think it's the other way around. I think that he is giving up on them
or on himself. Because if that's the case, we're looking at Jamarcus Russell.
You got to kind of put yourself in Zion's shoes, and you look at the guy that came before you, which is Anthony Davis, who was also injury prone. What did Anthony Davis do? He wanted to get the heck out of there. Yeah. So if you're Zion Williamson, just put yourself in his shoes for a second. If you see a guy like Anthony Davis, who's injury prone, wants to get the heck out of there, not getting a whole lot of publicity out there in New Orleans, you're probably eventually going to want to get out of there too.
But they just got him C.J. McCollum. They got him.
He hasn't spoken. C.J. McCollum hasn't heard from him.
He came out and they have spoken finally. But yes.
Oh, they finally talked to each other.
Well, according to J.J. Redick, they did not.
Are we taking everything into account here, though? Because you're looking at a young kid right now who obviously was drafted high, who's overweight currently, but also the whole situation of the team chemistry doesn't seem to be right. The whole situation seems messed up, but I think if you're the team, you have a potential star in your hands, and you're not doing the right things to get him in order.
Correct. So we're taking into account this all broke really when J.J. Redick hopped on First Take, I believe it is, with Greeny, and he came out and basically said, hey, McCollum hasn't heard from the guy since trade. And then J.J. Redick was like, when I was teammates with him as well, he was a detached teammate, which is huge because J.J. Redick, as we all know, is a guy that traveled around with some teams. Didn't seem like he had issues with a lot of people.
And when I heard that word that you just said, detached, you know who that reminds me of? A guy from my favorite team of all time, the Spurs. What happened when Kawhi Leonard got detached from the team? He was doing his own thing to try to recover from an injury. And what was his MO? He was also injury prone.
Yep.
And so this is like Kawhi Leonard all over again, AD all over again. However you want to look at it.
James Harden.
It doesn't matter. He could be the next big superstar. But if you never see him on the court, or if he only plays like half of a season, like I said it from the very beginning when he was first drafted. And honest to God, I hope I'm wrong. To this day, my initial prediction for Zion was that he was the next Greg Oden. Greg Oden was supposed to be an amazing superstar in the league. He broke down super early, and he never did anything in the NBA. And so I'm hoping that I'm wrong on this, but that's what I saw when I first saw Zion. So much torque on those knees, so much weight on those knees. Somebody's got to get a hold of him and say, hey, dude, you're not going to be bringing the ball down the court. You're not going to be a point forward. You're just going to be a power forward who sets up in the paint. We're going to try to preserve your body, and we're going to try to help you advance your career. But if he just keeps putting all that torque on his knees, it's not going to get any better, and his career is going to be ruined. Like, you're going to literally think of him as Greg Oden. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope somebody can work with him and advance his game, help him to fix his diet or whatever the case may be. But he's going down the wrong road at this point if he's already trying to leave the team that drafted him.
I mean, we don't know, obviously, if he's trying to leave for sure because he hasn't really come out and said anything. We haven't seen him in a year now. Like, we saw him beginning of the season. He got hurt. He came out, what was it, January-ish, and he looked better. Like, he looked more in shape, and then he hurt his toe right before he was supposed to come back, and now we haven't heard from him since. So, obviously he's been working out and trying to get in shape, but it also could just be a mental confidence issue that pushed him down.
My gosh, dude, how long was Anthony Davis there? He was there for years. And he was very productive. And if I'm Zion Williamson, I can't even raise the level of my game to that level. I mean, there's something going on, and I just think he's got a problem.
I think if the Pelicans are smart, they figure out what can they do to keep the guy, because they're not winning without him at all. There's no chance.
I just want to make a statement for you guys. So you're comparing him to Greg Oden right now. Greg Oden was the major implosion, one of the biggest busts of all time in NBA history at this point. And I just don't know if that's comparable to what Zion Williamson's going through, considering Oden in his entire career only played in 66 games, whereas Williamson's played in 85 already now in 2 years, and just turned 21 years old. And so I just think that there's something to sort of work with Williamson, and he's also productive, guys. 27 points right now per game going on. That's production. Where Greg Oden was only giving you like 11. And so I just think whenever you see guys on the court, even when he's overweight as he currently is, Zion Williamson, unhappy, overweight, still is producing at really not a bad level at all when you look at the stats. I just think that it's not comparable right now to this point. Oden's situation was injury. And even when he's on the court, his body was just destroyed. Now, Williamson could get to that point, but he's not there yet. I just think that he maybe is – I could see the Pelicans being in that situation on a crappy team like that, dragging his mentality down. But I just think that this guy has a lot left to give. If you put him in the right situation, right coaching, right team, they can work with him, get him with the right chef, they can make the right meals for him. Honestly, all those things combined can make this guy a really productive, good player.
Jason.
I just think he's somewhere in between that range that we just talked about.
Uh-huh.
He's not going to be as bad as Greg Oden, but he's not going to be as good as Kawhi Leonard. We all know that Kawhi Leonard, he's running out of steam as we speak. But he got 2 championships.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to play for the Spurs. He started getting injured every year. He had to do load management. Like, he literally created the term load management. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And so I think that Zion could be somewhere within that range where he's not going to reach his full potential. You might get a couple of good years out of him, but like I said, there's too much torque on those knees, and I just think somebody's got to work on him and just make sure that he's only a power forward and not trying to play balls to the wall.
No, I agree with that, but if he does move along, he needs to go to the right structured team, get him back on track. Because there's still a lot left to give. He's 21 years old, guys. Come on, we don't need to be giving up on this guy.
Here's the thing: doesn't this have some kind of feel of a Joel Embiid situation of when Joel entered the league with all foot and ankle? It was 4 years in before he finally played.
Tanner makes a good point there.
Yeah,
I like that point. Actually,
I'm glad that he brought that up.
If you're patient and your team's willing to put in effort for that player, take the horrible years with it, right? That's what's going to happen.
You mean in the beginning?
Yeah.
And then you get over it.
And then all of a sudden, now you got an MVP
things.
caliber player because you stuck with it. You got him in shape. You got him what you needed to do. Like, maybe that's what it's kind of shaping out to be.
I'm glad you brought up that example, but honestly, do you look at Zion as a guy that's just going to sit out there like a Joel Embiid and just start raining threes over everybody?
I do. I saw him in Duke do it.
You put Zion Williamson with the right structured team. I'm telling you, his game will improve. He could start raining threes with proper structure in his lifestyle.
I agree with you, but is that the reason why he and or his agent is trying to get him the heck out of New Orleans? Because New Orleans is not really known for their development.
No, because he wants to go to a big market team like James Harden. He's going to pull a James Harden here, whether he's healthy or not. I really do feel like this is...
He just wants to get out of Dodge.
It should be shaping up like a Joel Embiid, but we're leaning more, the more and more stuff comes out, we're leaning more towards the James Harden.
It's like getting drafted to the Lions, you guys. That's where careers go to die. And so the same kind of thing right now, I think, for the current New Orleans situation. And I think that probably Williamson sees it, but he also, it's kind of a cry for help in a way of he wants to be out of that place. He wants to be done with that team. And he knows if he went somewhere else that's more productive, that has energy to it, that he could become a better person, a better player for it. And all I'm saying to you guys, we shouldn't be comparing him, for your sake, to Greg Oden yet. Because Greg Oden was a disaster. And we all know that.
I think we got a long ways.
But he's also not Kawhi Leonard, so he's not the same thing.
But he's also not Joel Embiid, where he's injured for 3 years, and then all of a sudden he blows up. Right. We don't know if that's going to happen either.
We got time to tell.
He's somewhere. It could be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it's not Markelle Fultz.
All I say is, I'll say this: 3 years from now, we'll know a lot more about this guy.
As far as his accomplishments, if you just take his accomplishments, I'm comparing him to Anthony Davis, and he may never get a championship.
But Anthony Davis ended up becoming okay in the end, right?
Well, he got a championship.
He got a ring.
He played with LeBron, so LeBron got him a ring.
Of course, he was never what he was at Kentucky, though. No. But still productive enough to win.
Yeah,
Williamson might just be productive enough to win.
I just hope that Zion doesn't turn out to be an injured bum in much the same way that Anthony Davis is right now. Because that's all that he is.
I'm hoping more of a Joel Embiid kind of deal. That's all I'm saying. but I feel like I hear James Harden in this conversation. That's all I keep hearing.
I got you. All right, guys, we have one more topic to go over here today with you guys here live from Mr. Brews Tap House as we sip on our IPAs and Saisons and every other mother loving good old stuff over here at this place. Guys, this place looks fairly empty now. It was jam-packed, wall to wall,
We couldn't even
shoulder
get our
to shoulder. We are starting the show late today because it was so damn busy in here. So, hey, I am so happy for these guys. I'm glad it was a busy night. So, that is awesome. And, we were also happy to have her too. That's a different story, different day. So, guys, we saw the ESPN list recently come out of the NBA's top 75 players of all time. And that was an interesting list, you guys. Now, we're not going to go over all 75 with you guys. We don't have time for nonsense like that.
3.
But we do want to talk about the top 10 list we had on there. And, Jason, I'd like you to do the honors of telling the audience out there the top 10 list. And then we are going to actually debate as a trio the movers and shakers of this list, where they should be based on what they gave us.
All right, guys, let's have a little bit of fun here. And we're not going to do it the same way that another network would do it, which is like talk about Michael Jordan versus LeBron for 3 hours straight until your eyes start to bleed. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to have a little bit of perspective on the show. We're going to talk about other great players who might be just as good, if not better than those guys. So let's go through the list that ESPN had out of the top 75. So number 1 was MJ. Number 2 was LeBron James. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 4 was Magic. Number 5 was Wilt Chamberlain. Number 6, Bill Russell. Number 7 was Larry Bird. Number 8 was Tim Duncan. Number 9, Oscar Robertson. Number 10 was Kobe Bryant. So I just want to know what you guys think about that list. I want to know who you might move up or move down. And I also want to know who we think was left off of that top 10 list that should be on the top 10 list. And if you're going to raise somebody up, who are you going to take out of that top 10?
I mean, really, honestly, the actual top 10 list, I don't mind. It's the order that I have a problem with more than anything. Now, on that list, by the way, Shaquille O'Neal is number 11, just to give you guys some reference here. And I just think that was probably fair. But then again, there's different perspectives to look at this whole thing. My list, I mean, in particular, I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but I would definitely move someone like Bill Russell up the list, from the number 6 spot up to number 8, at least number 8. Now on my list, I have him actually still ahead of Kobe Bryant, and you actually talked to me earlier about this, and I thought that maybe you gave me some good points because Kobe actually, for what he's worth, I mean, just did a lot more than what Bill Russell ended up doing for his career. Bill Russell has, you said, 11 championships, but he played in a league at the time with 12 teams. Is that right?
There were not a lot of teams in the league. I mean, that Celtics team was stacked. In fact, all of those guys on that team with Bill Russell, they had a lot of championships. And so the league back then when he was playing was not exactly fair. You know, there wasn't a lot of parity in the NBA back then.
Yeah, and that's very true. And I think when you look at it in that perspective, Bill Russell should not be where he was listed with his ESPN. And so I think Larry Bird for me also is up there quite a bit. He had ESPN has at number 7. I have at number 6 actually, and then at Magic Johnson number 5. So some might say, "Oh, number 5, okay, well, who's ahead of that?" Well, honestly, Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan should be your top 3 on everyone's list, in my opinion. And Wilt is still, are you kidding me? I mean, the guy actually had 2 years in a row where he averaged about 50 points per game. And that's something that's just out of this freaking world. Are you kidding me? And especially in a time period where that wasn't easy to do for certain people. And I just think that that's something we need to look at. The only player to ever score 100 points in one game was Wilt Still. I'm amazed by that, and I'm amazed by what his accomplishments were at that time period. It reminds me a lot of what Jim Brown did in the 50s and 60s with the Cleveland Browns at that time period as well, because this was a time period where, you know, it's not so simple to just give the ball to those kind of people. And, you guys know what I'm saying. It was a different time period, and not everything was fair and equal. And luckily, now in today's world, in today's leagues, those things are equal now, and we know how that's transparent over time. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, of course, championships, stats. I mean, the guy was just a king. Before Jordan really came along, I think he was the king of kings at the time of the NBA.
He was.
And Jordan ended up, of course, supplanting that, I think, over time. Jordan's 6-0 in the finals. And so I think when you go 6-0 in the finals, all the other guys on this list, the top 10, none of them did that. None of them had 0 losses in the finals. All of them had at least 1 loss. And so I think taking that into account, I mean, that you have your king right there. Whereas LeBron James, not to have the comparison talk, is 4-6.
Yeah, that's fair. My biggest gripe here is Tim Duncan needs to be moved out.
Moved out?
Moved out. Magic Johnson needs to move down. Larry Bird needs to move up to that 4 spot.
Or
Utilize that.
He's in
game.
your Mount Rushmore?
Whoa. Just time out. You're moving Tim Duncan off of the list.
I want Tim Duncan out of the top 10.
Out of the top 10. Okay.
And I'm going to replace that with Shaquille O'Neal. I'm going to put Kobe actually up there in the top 6. Bill Russell back a spot. So basically, I go Bill Russell, Wilt, Bird, Kareem, LeBron.
You do realize that Tim Duncan is 2-1 versus LeBron James in the finals, and you're moving him off the list. You
finals,
understand that?
I'm not worried about finals.
You don't care about the finals?
I tell you
do
this
not
every
care
time.
about winning games.
I tell
and winning
you about this
championships?
every time. Championships do not
Tanner,
set my life.
Tanner, was it because Tim Duncan didn't talk enough? Was he quiet? Is that the problem?
No.
Like, why is he not getting the notoriety he deserves from you?
No, I just thought Shaquille O'Neal was a more dominant force. He did more for the game.
No, we're not talking about Shaq. We're
No,
talking
Shaq,
about.
we're okay with Shaq.
Look, Shaq's fine.
I'm getting ready to move him up right now. I'm right behind you on that one.
I don't think Duncan's a top 10 player.
Top 10, really?
I don't think he is at all.
Why is that?
Because I told you, I think there's other players that are more impactful.
So
the game of the NBA.
He's
Bill Russell more
75
impactful
years.
than.
So
Tim Duncan.
right quick, and I'm going to let you continue with your list. Tim Duncan is 2-1 against LeBron in the finals. So I want to know, where do you have LeBron James on this list?
I think it's appropriate. He's leading the scoring list. He's leading pretty much almost every single freaking record, it seems like. He's played the longest.
Tanner, that's today's sports. We've gone over this 100 times. That's how it's always going to be. The NFL is the exact same way.
And
Stats will always be broken every year as time goes on.
By the
That's
way,
how it works.
LeBron's a more dominant force for an NBA player that we've seen since MJ.
Okay, but he's more dominant than Kareem was.
At 2? Yeah.
More dominant than Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What an awful list, Tanner.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes,
is
he
none of
is.
us,
MJ, LeBron.
Somehow LeBron
1, 2.
James.
I could even
4 and 6 in
if
NBA
you really
finals
want me to get
is more
crazy,
dominant than Wilt Chamberlain
I could probably
was.
see Kobe in that sucker at 3.
4 and 6 is pretty dominant. It's almost as dominant as Jerry West back in the day when he was 1-8 in the finals. These losing records in the finals are pretty dominant.
You keep talking about finals, but I'm not talking finals. I'm talking about being impactful on the.
So how about being impactful when it matters the most, Tanner?
Oh, we're
how
going to
about
talk that now?
LeBron James in the finals, the times he's choked in the finals, compared to other players who are on this
He doesn't
top
choke
5.
a lot. He just doesn't have.
That's
Like, you don't have good
nonsense.
teams.
And whenever
He's
has
facing
won in
better
the past,
teams.
he's like Peyton Manning. When he's won in the past, it's because
I'm
other
not
guys
getting into
carry
a
it.
LeBron debate here.
All right, can we do
Just
it?
because you LeBron haters.
Are you done with your list? Can I go on now?
No, you go on.
I have LeBron at number 4. Hey, LeBron's on my Mount Rushmore, by the way, so I'm not a hater. I'm just realistic. I'm also not a ball sucker.
He's a 2.
Okay. So
Easy 2.
Ball sucker.
Easy 2.
Ball sucker.
Maybe 1.
I'm going to give you my take, and then we're going to come back to Tanner because I want to know what he thinks about my list, and I want to know what you think about my list. So obviously, I'm not going to start before I mention the one and only MJ. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. MJ's number 1 on the list. I am actually going to move him up. Not going to move him down. I'm not going to keep him where he's at. I move MJ up the list. He's already number 1 because he is off this list. Okay? We don't compare MJ to anybody else. It's MJ and then everybody else down here. So MJ is untouchable. So I'm moving MJ up. I've got LeBron James. I am going to move him down. Okay?
That's fair.
Because like we say, the object, what did Herman Edwards always say? You play to win the game.
Play to win the game.
What do we not play to do? We don't play to win to be 4-6 in NBA Finals. That's not the goal.
I don't think he played that
Herm
way.
also kicked a lot of field goals. So,
I don't think he played that way, but digress.
Okay, so LeBron James is going down my list. I do still have him in my top 5 because I am, in fact, I know you guys are going to laugh at me, I am a LeBron apologist. So I do think he should be in the top 5.
My biggest problem, he becomes pussified in big moments.
Okay.
And that's what I don't like about LeBron.
AC, thank you. Thank you.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, that's a travesty. He's not number 3 on anybody's list. He is number 2, right behind Jordan. You know why? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of the most unstoppable players ever. He invented the hook shot, and nobody could ever stop it.
Correct.
Okay, there's no defense that you can play.
What do you have him at? 3?
No, I'm moving him up.
Okay.
So LeBron James, he dropped down.
LeBron? Yeah, you said it, boy.
Right. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes up to number 2. Okay. Now we're going to talk about Magic Johnson, who is 5-4 in the finals. Okay. Now, I am going to leave Magic Johnson right where he's at, and I'm also going to leave Wilt Chamberlain right where he's at. I don't think that you can argue that Magic or Wilt should be anything other than 4 or 5. I think they're properly rated. We're going to leave those 2 alone. Now we go to Bill Russell, and I'm going to tell you about the 2 guys that I am going to move out of my top 10 because there are 2 guys that were not mentioned in the top 10. It was a joke.
This guy's name.
It was a joke.
I swear to God.
Okay? So, I'm going to preface this by saying that I have all the respect in the world for Bill Russell.
Do not say this guy's name.
I have all the respect in the world
top 10.
for Oscar Robertson, who basically averaged a triple-double for 5 straight years, okay? But we are going to move Bill Russell and Oscar Robertson out of the top 10 completely. It was a different game back then. Very different game. Oscar Robertson, as much as I love the guy, he was 1-1.
Triple-double king, right?
1-1 in the NBA Finals.
He's gonna
okay? Now, you know why he's 1-1 in the Finals? Because he played with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Otherwise, he would have 0 Finals championship. He's off the list, okay?
I know you're going to say it.
Bill Russell's off the list because, you know why? He averaged 15 points per game, okay? Do you know how many guys in the history of the NBA have averaged 15 points per game? It's not that difficult to do. I understand he was a great defensive presence. He blocked shots all over the place. Different game back in the 1950s and 60s. As much as I respect those guys, Bill Russell, Oscar Robertson, they're gone. Why? The best shooter in the history of the NBA is Stephen Curry.
With this one.
Okay?
Okay.
The other problem I have with the list is Larry Bird at number 7. Okay? Let's just compare those 2 guys. So Stephen Curry and Larry Bird, did you guys know this? They're both 3-2 in the finals. So that's a wash. However, Steph Curry shot 43% from 3. Larry Bird only 37 from 3.
I'm okay with Curry.
I'm pretty sure if you're putting Larry Bird at number 7, ESPN, FYI, you should probably put Steph Curry in your top 5 or top 6. Okay, the other guy I'm going to move into my top 10, Shaquille O'Neal. Unstoppable.
I'm relieved here.
He's unstoppable. You know why? Because he's 4-2. He's 4-2 in the finals. You know who has a worse record in the finals than Shaquille O'Neal? Oh, let's just throw LeBron James out there. Why not? 4-6 versus Shaquille O'Neal, 4-2. I've got Shaq ahead of LeBron.
That's fine.
Okay, you can put Shaq at number 4. You can put Magic number 4. I don't really care. Tim Duncan, I'm going to slide him up to number 7 ahead of Larry Bird. He had a better record in the finals. He was more dominant than Larry Bird. I'm sorry, he just had a better record in the finals, the best power forward in the history of the game. So that's where I'm kind of moving these guys up and down. I'm also going to move up the late, great Kobe Bryant, okay? The reason I'm going to move him up is because, let's just be honest, guys. If he ever played a one-on-one versus LeBron James, I don't even need to talk.
He beats Michael too.
Well, that's fair if you want to say that, but we all know that Kobe was a better player than LeBron James. Better finals record, better player, better scorer, better scorer. And he would have destroyed LeBron in a game of one-on-one. So, I'm probably putting LeBron down there in the 5 to 6 range, somewhere in there.
Still top 10,
but
right? Yeah.
My favorite part about this whole discussion is that MJ's not even on this list, dude, because he's way up here and everybody else way down here.
I was worried that I was going to hear after year.
That was a very fair list, I felt like, right there.
It was
logical. I liked a lot of logic to it. I will say Larry Bird for me. I didn't really agree with that part because I think that Larry Bird was kind of a magician of a basketball player, where he was very savvy and slick and smooth, and he was kind of one of those guys that just kind of could slither his way through and make plays. And I think that made him a very special and unique kind of player compared to the rest of the guys in that group of those 3 group, I would say.
Let me express here what I was worried about. I was worried that you were going to stick freaking Kevin Durant in the top 10, for God's sakes. I was waiting for it.
No, we're not going there, no.
Well, Kevin Durant has a little bit of work left to do, and he might be doing it this year. But
a lot of work
that's left to be seen.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot.
We have a lot to remain to be seen. Which, by the way, you guys, speaking of that remaining to be seen, we will be back once again with some more football talk. Scouting Combine's coming up this weekend, by the way. So we'll be following that news. I will be then doing a little bit of a solo for Chiefs-related content coming up soon for you guys. Probably once a week. It's going to be called Settling the Kingdom? Settling the Kingdom?
Could it be Settle in the Kingdom?
Settle in?
Like the letter N with
Settle in?
the apostrophe stuff or whatever?
The Kingdom?
Settle in the Kingdom?
Still a work in progress,
we're still trying to figure out
about that. Anyways, doesn't matter because the main thing is the discussion. And so we'll be watching Scouting Combine coming this weekend while I'm on the move. Gonna be great. I can't wait for it. Mainly because I like watching men running tights. That's my thing. And we'll just kind of take it from there. We'll be back here to Mr. Brew's Tap House sometime next month. Actually, it will be the last Wednesday of March. We'll be back here once again. We'll be here every last Wednesday of the week of each month. Correct?
Without me.
Yeah. Okay, without Tanner. Well, Tanner won't be here, so it'll be us two now.
I'll be remote, guys. I'll be remote. So
Tanner's gonna be remote, whatever. We're gonna get this whole damn thing set up and get it going.
Mike and I are gonna have a debate show when you're gone.
It's gonna be a great debate.
I'm hopping on that still. I'll do it from my phone.
Yeah, I can't wait for that stuff, you guys. But regardless,
talk about LeBron.
Next time we're here at the end of March. Hope everyone comes out and has a drink with us and enjoys some sports talk, because we also love input from you all as well. So anytime, get a hold of us, and we enjoy the discussions we all have with all of you out there. I had actually just talked with a fan today, actually at the bar, he asked about golf, which I was like, yeah, Tiger Woods is cool. And that's about, that's my buffoonery about the whole deal. And he was actually an Iowa fan, but he actually is part of helping with the NFL Draft 2023 Kansas City edition coming up soon, 1 year from now. So, guys, keep that in mind. 1 year from now, we'll all be partying downtown somewhere for the NFL Draft.
That's right.
So,
hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do to make sure you get our bell. We have something coming up this weekend. Special announcement on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Hit that bell, see our Facebook, see our Twitter to be notified on that.
That's right. New and old, elderly and barely above age, whatever you're into. Thank you guys so much for joining along with us. And I guess we'll see y'all on the next one.
Yay. See you guys.